Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Winter. You survived the couple of days we weren't broadcasting WCS Winter. Congratulations, and we will reward you with even more StarCraft action. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by Nathanius here on this wonderful morning in your beautiful blue shirt. How's it going?
Fantastic. Life is amazing, Fear Dragon. What can I say?
It's pretty good. And of course, for those who don't know, WCS Winter, a really, really awesome event that we actually have going on as effectively the first circuit event of the year. And we already had one full week, 4 full days, I would say, of WCS Winter action with Europe and Americas. How was your first week, Nate?
It was incredible. It was a life-changing experience of joy and mayhem. And some very ugly series of StarCraft because, let's face it, the earlier stage of the tournament is always going to be a little bit more volatile. We're going to see some weird stuff, some stuff of nightmares that you may never be able to forget. But I'd just like to take this moment to say thank you to everybody that's here in the first 2 minutes or whatever of the stream that we're here.
Real MVPs.
People that show up early. I feel like you guys don't get enough love. So shout out to you, because if you weren't here in the first place, no one would even be able to see that this was live, and it would make our lives a lot more sad. I'd be very lonely, even though I don't have chat open while I'm on the desk.
You can trust that Nate really appreciates people that show up on time, as someone that showed up on time today. But let's talk about the format for WCS Winter. We had, of course, 32 players that managed to qualify for WCS Winter through ladder qualifiers, online qualifiers, etc. And in the end, we have these 32 players playing in a bunch of 4-player groups. 16 of them are going to move on to the next stage, and 6 of these players are eventually going to be able to make it through a round robin and another group stage and everything, and make it to an offline finals here at the Burbank studio. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually really looking forward to that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
gonna be a cool format as well.
Oh, yeah. WCS Winter. It's really nice, right? Because it starts off very similar to the Challenger format that you guys saw from last year, but things change up a bit towards the latter end. And I'm just, it's nice to get a bit of variety. It's nice to have a regular show for StarCraft that we've been able to do. And I'm really interested to see who gets far. Somebody was talking about it since we're going into our first European group to start things off today. You see Cyril's tweet as well?
Yeah.
He's excited to
no one else
warm up the old keyboard and mouse.
All the other players are like, please no, please stop playing. We're trying to play catch up still. Yeah. But of course, guys, if you aren't familiar with WCS Winter, again, there is a really awesome prize pool on the line. $60,000 total per region. That's $60,000 for Europe and $60,000 for Americas. $12,000 of first place, so congratulations, Cyril, on your $12,000. And $675 to any of the players that get knocked out in the groups here today. Should be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Fear Dragon, if you had to spend $12,000 in 1 hour on something super fun, what would you spend it on?
11,337 tacos.
Okay. You thought about it. You took tax into account, I guess, there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's...
I'm on point with this, man. I know how much a taco costs.
I thought you were going to need more time to answer that. I didn't even have an answer myself ready. That's impressive.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll give you a little bit more time to think about your answer to that question as we talk about today's group, because we got some awesome players playing today. It is going to be Nerchio facing off versus GunGFuBanDa as the first match of the day, 1st seed versus 4th seed. Petit Drogo facing off versus Kaz in the 2nd match of the day, which means that we get a little Terran, we get a little Zerg, and we get double the Protoss today.
I love this group. This group to me stands out. Very interesting. Nerchio is a clear favorite for me out of all 4.
Yep.
Once upon a time, I think you could have said that Drogo or Kaz would have been the favorite for 2nd place out of this group. But I think that Drogo is not quite up to the championship caliber player that we expect, and that's not to be a diss to him, but what I'm really trying to say is I think that 2nd spot is really open in this group. I think between Drogo, GunGFuBanDa, and Kaz, it could easily be either of them, which for me makes this group a lot more fun because we don't really know who's going to come in. Maybe Drogo wipes, maybe Kaz wipes. I'm interested to find out.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. I think Drogo's maybe had a bit of a hard time getting some of the results lately. But let's talk about that first match, because I'm also pretty excited about this. You said Nerchio is probably a big favorite in this group. I'm with you there. I think this is going to be a tough match for GunGFuBanDa. Nerchio is like one of those funny guys who I feel like was so dominant, or so good, not necessarily dominant, but he was so good for such a long time that he's just set this standard that we're like, oh yeah, Nerchio's like a top, he's like a top 4, top 8 finisher. Okay, cool. And then he's been there for so long that we just kind of stopped acknowledging how good he is, and we're like, ah, yeah, Nerchio's underperforming because he got top 8.
Exactly. The problem isn't that Nerchio's not a good player. The problem is that he's been outclassed and outshone by players like Serral and a Laser. But Nerchio's standard never really dropped. He's still someone that makes it very deep in a lot of the WCS. We expect to see him make it deep in WCS, and I think a lot of people tuning in today expect Nerchio to make it out of this group. So it's not that he's missing the big results because he's necessarily bad, but we're kind of seeing an upward trend of skill, unlike anything we've seen in this foreign StarCraft scene for like the last 2 years. Nerchio is still very much up there, but he's had a bit of a hard time kind of reaching the peak of the mountain with guys like Serral, Neeb, and so on.
Well, we're going to see if 2019 is a bit of a different year for Nerchio and also for GunGFuBanDa, who this is actually a really big tournament for him. If he's able to beat Nerchio over here, make that kind of upset happen, that's one of those things that will really start propel GunGFuBanDa's name, I think, toward the top of a lot of people's lists as someone to look out for, because it's going to be a fun match. But I believe that we are nearly ready to go in this first series of the day. This Protoss versus Zerg, Year 0 going to be the first map. Nate, I know we already kind of said Nerchio probably a little bit favored coming into this. Do you have any predictions on things that you expect to see?
I imagine it'll be pretty standard, right? Yeah. Maybe GunGFuBanDa breaks out some insane aggression, but a lot of these maps are really good for macro games. Year 0 has a very long rush distance early on. You can kind of get across the airspace early, but I'd expect to see the typical stuff. Maybe Nerchio will throw in like a cheeky Nidus play since that seems to be popping up a bit more. No pun intended.
Yeah, the Nidus run play, I really would have expected we would see more of this in the Protoss versus Zerg set, but we just haven't seen that much of it, honestly. It's kind of funny.
The Nidus is still very much a tactic that it either works beautifully or fails spectacularly.
Yeah.
It doesn't really trend one way or the other for the most part.
Well,
as we load into the game.
Well, Nate, my screen is black, so you know what? You might have to observe.
You guys get to have the Manius observe the first series. I apologize. You almost had decent observing for one game here.
Yeah. Wouldn't be a good day of StarCraft unless we had a few bumps in the road just to keep us on our toes.
That's true. That's true. We did just go over all of this.
Yeah.
We had a
Nate, you didn't actually answer. What would you do with the $12,000 for first place?
Oh, I'd buy, I don't know, what? How many copies of StarCraft can I buy with that? Oh, wait, it's free! There you go. That's
what you didn't actually answer the question. You would create that many new accounts and you'd buy all of the skins. You'd buy that many war chests.
I would give away, what, X number of war chests? 1,200 war chests. Or something.
Yeah, because I guess they are $10 per race.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, war chests, 25% of the proceeds for those war chests will in fact go to esports initiatives in 2019.
The real answer is I would just...
Welcome back.
I would just so much more than normally so unnecessarily pimp out my computer, probably. It's kind of boring thing I would do. I'd be like,
that's not boring.
Is there anything that comes out tomorrow that I can spend way more money than I need on Bleeding Edge?
Yeah. My favorite part is I did these ridiculous upgrades to my computer. Actually, a lot of them thanks to your recommendations. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, time to play StarCraft, which my old computer actually ran just fine, but we're just going to play StarCraft even more amazingly now.
StarCraft's been around for so long. It's like, nowadays, like if it's still one of the only games that
it's an accessible game.
I need that $1,000 graphics card so that I can keep that same FPS because that is absolutely not what limits me.
Should I just exit out of this game? Should I just exit out?
I figured it would finish loading at some point. Usually it just drops, but
yeah. All right, I ulted forward.
There we go. Now the
now the game loaded. Oh man, you didn't even have the overlay on.
It's on the wrong overlay. I don't know. This could be fun to observe, man. I don't know what to tell you.
This is gonna be smooth. I can tell.
Oh, this will be great. Seriously, I'm so ready for this.
I guess we're doing this old school overlay, guys. This is 2010. As we jump in to the top right-hand corner of Year 0, Nate on the observing, so don't blame me for this one.
Yep.
We have the top right-hand corner of the map, the red Protoss player. He is GunGFuBanDa.
And his opponent in the northwest, our blue Zerg player. He is Nerchio.
Okay, GunGFuBanDa just moving forward with that early probe. Now we have seen some shenanigans from Protoss players the last week or so. Definitely saw some of the Protoss players. I think it was Shadow that was doing some of the cannon rushes and stuff. Especially versus Zerg players can be a little bit frustrating or, you know, annoying and difficult to deal with. We'll see what GunGFuBanDa is up to, because he's just going for the gate expand, it looks like.
Yep, just a gateway on the low ground. Scouts out the pool. Really nothing crazy over here out of Nerchio, and I think that that's kind of what you expect. Nerchio is one of probably the most matches played in competitive StarCraft. We had a really fun stat. I think one of my favorite stats that we had last year at on the circuit was the number of pro matches competed in. I think the only guy that beat Nerchio that I could see from the stats that we had was Bly, actually, who had over 9,000 competitive StarCraft games played, which is...
Bly actually doesn't sleep. He plugs himself into the Matrix and then just ends up playing StarCraft in online tournaments when he's asleep.
Yep. At some point, you'll be able to affix some sort of brainwave reading device to your forehead while you sleep, and you can just play StarCraft in your sleep. That's what it is.
I think Bly just is in like the early access beta of it, where it only has access to Challenge or something. Challenge in StarCraft.
Something like that. Depth opening, there's the Stargate, as every Protoss is wont to do. Cute little, he's got the Purifier probes here, just so you guys know. The WCS game heart mod that we use for the tournaments no longer shows the players the skins. So to both players, everything's completely normal, but they can still show off their skins so that you guys can see their sense of style.
Yeah, don't worry guys, Nerchio won't see those probes and be like, I don't know what unit this is.
He's gonna be like, oh my god, Phoenix is gonna drop down. I played co-op, I know how this ends.
Well, first, Stargate is about to finish on up. We'll see how GunGFuBanDa decides to play this out. If he's going to just go for the 1 or 2 Oracles and a Phoenix, because we have been seeing a lot of players, in fact, go for the double Stargate opening as well. It's definitely been a pretty common follow-up here from Protoss players trying to put that pressure onto the Zergs. And I feel like it's been pretty successful from the games that we've seen lately.
Yep. Light it up pressure into Oracles, break out some Phoenix. Maybe go, what is it, like Robo, Twilight. You can do the Archon drop as a follow-up to it. You could go straight into the Immortals with a Warp Prism. Big Charge is also something that's still really popular. Charge Zealots. Yep. One of my favorite units to see used there. So
those Charge Zealots that Protoss players can throw at a Zerg. Oh my god, they're so good.
This is the Purifier Oracle.
That is actually my favorite. That's my favorite Oracle skin.
Famously known as being the most appropriate unit skin for literally just purifying mineral lines of workers.
It is quite smooth. It is quite smooth at its job. Yep. The Queen's actually getting quite a bit of damage done to that Oracle, though.
I was going to say, almost accomplishes nothing, but does find a couple of drones in the main. But look at that energy. Or the head points, excuse me, very low. Second Stargate is being added.
There it is.
By the way. So GunGFuBanDa, do you think, is this big Oracle, or is he just going to go into Phoenix?
He's adding on
Oh my
Phoenix,
god, that Oracle's so low. 8 hit points, by the way.
Oh, lucky that there's no Queen yet at the 3rd. He's going to be able to get out of there alive, regenerate some of those hit points, which he desperately needs on those shields. But, of course, when is Nerchio going to scout this out? He moves in and he
sees second Stargate. Wow. He knows.
Perfect timing on this.
Really important there.
This is actually something, usually the first Phoenix is able to clean up the Overlords before the Oracles, or sorry, the second Stargate actually gets spotted out. So Nerchio getting the scout is a pretty big deal. This gives him an extra minute or 2 that he gets to react.
Yeah, really nice. And we see he's going to throw up the spores. Not showing a crazy amount of respect to the Stargate, but now he's like, okay, I've just been droning up. And he's not really that crazy far ahead in drones, but he's just now starting that lair at 5 minutes, which does feel a little bit late. He doesn't have anything to really deal with the harass. Did he even get, just Ling speed. There's no Roach Warren. There's no Baneling Nest. So, I mean, thankfully for him, GunGFuBanDa is not doing like a big ground-based attack, but these Adepts might be able to get some drone.
There's nothing over here. There's not even a Queen over here to buy some time. A couple of the drones are going to start to get picked off. One or two.
I love that. And uses the Phoenix to catch them rotating to the natural expand.
Yeah.
Shades once again.
How much energy do those Phoenix have? Do they have enough to lift up the Queens? Well, not actually going to go for it anyways.
He's got 2 lifts available so far. He's just going to stack the Adepts into the drones. That's a lot of drone kills.
Yeah, focus firing them down, gets up to 7, maybe 8 kills soon. The Phoenix just going to be retreating on back. He knows that he needs to keep those alive. But he actually adds on a Robo, so is looking to start to transition out. Usually we'll see a lot of the double Stargate Phoenix play. You stop making Phoenix maybe around 8 to 10. He might be cutting the Phoenix production a little bit earlier than usual, though.
Yeah, and he's just going to start picking off more and more drones, getting the ones off of the gas here inside the main base of Nerchio. Meanwhile, we do have some Zerglings coming by to that Nexus. Going to be routed pretty easily. GunGFuBanDa was able to get a shield battery here, which is going to be more than enough with these handful of Zealots.
Oh, yeah.
To stop the Ling harass. Hydralisk Den finishing up with +1 attack for Nerchio as GunGFuBanDa finishes his Twilight Council. And I'm going to say what? Starts +1 in charge. Seems to be...
Yeah, that's a pretty common fault. It's not really like we end up seeing a whole lot of Blink play or anything in this matchup, so.
No.
Wouldn't also be surprised.
We made it cheaper. Won't you guys just start massing Blink Stalkers now? It's like, that's not really how it works.
I mean, we do it in versus Terran. Have you experienced a little bit of that, Nate? Yeah.
No, man. I'm just running from an 8-foot-tall monster most of the time.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
The Phoenix are holding the tower
Ooh.
in the center.
Baneling Nest already on the way here.
Okay.
So Nerchio's got a good read on this.
This is turning into a pretty standard ZvP, right?
Yeah.
Double Stargate can take us down a dark path, but that's not what we're headed towards today. Phoenix flying into the Queens.
Whoop.
Not their finest moment.
Yeah. But with all the Queens out over here, this does give the Phoenix an opportunity to maybe pick off an Overlord, pick off a couple of drones. Remember, even on creep, those Queens are not exactly the most nimble units.
No.
But I love how
they're
much...
chonky boys, you know?
They are. I love how much Nerchio is starting to focus on that creep spread further out, though, because that is one of those things that the ground force is really going to not enjoy, especially if there are a handful of those speed banelings coming on in. A couple of more drones getting picked off by the Phoenix, so GunGFuBanDa just trying to find consistent damage here, but the Hydras are starting to come out, and that should, combined with the Queens, start pushing back those Phoenix a lot more.
Yep, he's going to send in a hallucinated Phoenix just to get the next level of the scout off. Sees Baneling speed is being researched. Adept is going to fight off these links to the tower. And hold on to this position. We've got pylons kind of scattering around the map now. GunGFuBanDa sending a cheeky probe out.
Yep. Picking off the Adept. Links sacrifice themselves for that kill, but shutting down that Zalaga Watch tower vision for a little bit. And this is kind of that game where we just see small little bits of aggression back and forth on either side. But like you said, War Prism making its way across the map. This is going to actually scout out the Hive timing, and that is a pretty big deal. Being able to see when the Hive finishes up, you'll know that he has a bit of a timer kind of coming out, but we don't actually have a Spire down, do we?
I don't think so, no.
So it's not going to necessarily be for super fast graded Spires. Probably just going to be, okay, there's the Spire. He could still go for the Vipers initially, though, to help out.
Yeah, I mean, Vipers, it's always tricky, right? Because the Vipers don't die as much as they used to against High Templar. But
the Phoenix is still out.
GunGFuBanDa is already thinking about that possible transition. Fleet Bacon is on the way.
Yep.
He hasn't seen that Spire, by the way.
Yeah, it's so weird also when
you almost got to assume they'd have it.
Yeah, when you have a Protoss player that opens up double Stargate, they can kind of deal with the Broodlords a lot faster. Because that transition, like you said, is already so much more ready. He just has to add on the Fleet Beacon, and he's kind of almost good to go.
You're going to break those rocks, buddy. There we go.
Just get up, plug it as close as possible.
Upgrades are coming in. Dark Shrine behind this with +1 air. It's going to open up a lot for him, and now GunGFuBanDa.
Well, Phoenix picking off some more units in the main, trying to pull back the army for Nerchio.
Oh yeah, big Zealot Warp and another one from that Warp Prism as well. He's got a harass hitting from the south side. Zealots kind of choking themselves up a little bit, though. He's going to pull those back.
Yeah. Well, they are buying a little bit of time and pulling a lot of units out of position so he can run on in Force Field, zoning out those Banelings.
Yeah, none of the Banelings really able to get super close. The Zealots are chewed up, but I think the Prism can come down and reinforce. I was going to say the Prism, he's kind of been moving it between positions. Zealots are going to cancel the southwest base. Getting in on those Hydralisks.
GunGFuBanDa everywhere right now, hitting in 3 different places all at the same time. Nerchio still handles it very well, though. Even though the Banelings all get picked off, GunGFuBanDa wasn't able to push further in, so Nerchio, the biggest loss there was just losing that bottom left-hand base, but I think that's okay. He has Hive, he's got the more Banelings coming on up, and he's defending pretty well.
changelings captured by stasis wards. That's a funny sight.
Oh my god, oh yeah, those are changelings. I didn't even realize.
I mean, you can't stasis your own units.
Yeah, that's true.
Greater Spire is coming in. And Big
What if
Mama!
What if you can neuroparasite a stasis trap at the last second?
Well, I mean, it counts as a building, so it
Yeah.
doesn't...
That's unfortunate.
What if you could neural parasite a planetary fortress?
How do you neuroparasite a robotic unit? How does the logic...
Nobody knows.
Because I thought the
Half the
logic was...
Protoss units have no pilot, and nobody knows. It's
Yeah. So what we're saying here, Nate, is that robotic units for Protoss just shouldn't be able to be...
How does neural parasite take over a battlecruiser when there's 6,000 people on it? You think the rest of the...
The pilot,
can't
man.
mutiny against the captain?
If you take over the captain, then no one can say
Captain's
anything.
kind of got a tentacle sticking out of his forehead, and he's telling us to kill ourselves. We should just obey, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Captain's orders.
We won't tolerate mutiny on this ship, man. The... Ooh, Hydra Ling counterattack in the bottom right-hand corner. Maybe able to get some damage done while Nerchio tries to defend over here. The Banelings getting on top of the very few Zealots that exist. The High Templars managed to survive. GunGFuBanDa is actually going to back off for now. That single Tempest is a little bit of added damage kind of from a distance. But it's actually not a massive amount of damage output from that Tempest. So it's really just about kind of picking away about some of the stack defense.
It turns into a zoning. There's neural parasite being researched. But see, if StarCraft was an anime Fear Dragon, there'd be a solid 3 episodes dedicated to everybody on the ship somehow using the power of friendship to get the captain to snap out of it. You know what I'm saying? And then eventually they would turn and destroy the infestors, and it would be a beautiful scene.
I feel like StarCraft is a little too dark for that.
Very cinematic.
StarCraft is the kind of game where...
Give the characters bigger eyeballs.
You'd have one of those moments, and then all the friends would actually just be killed.
Bro. Then like 40 infested Terrans and rocket launchers and everything else. Tempest have reached the front. I'm just going to briefly remind you, since people keep asking us. The players cannot see the skins. They are just for you. And yes, they look awesome. No, I do not disagree.
Oh my god.
I don't like them.
That DT with a dream. Kid's a kill on the hatchery.
I love this Purifier army from GunGFuBanDa, by the way.
He is purifying the Zerg right now. He has got the army he needs to actually make this work.
It's a shame this mama ship doesn't have the planet cracker.
That would be a little bit scary. The Infestor's actually getting very close to that mothership. It should be in neural parasite range if he wants to go for that. But all the Infestors are out of energy now.
Yeah, it didn't go for the neural. I find that interesting. I mean, if you can get the time warp, I think is a great way to waste the energy of the mothership, because it did get adjusted that it affects the attack speed of units underneath it. So if you use it, they have to run away.
I think Nerchio's dead. There it is. GG.
Really great play by GunGFuBanDa. I mean, his harass was really solid. We kind of talked about how Nerchio didn't really try to get much of anything done at the start of the game, right? He was like, I'm just going to take bases. When the Adepts were hitting him with the Phoenix, he only had link speed. His lair was really late. No Rotorn, no Baneling Nest. And not really any spines either.
Yeah, didn't really get too much counter damage done. He had like the Ling Hydra Force at some point in kind of the mid game, right before the Tempest count started getting built up. But then it didn't really seem like it actually got a chance to push on in. He may have even pulled it back before he got a chance to do anything. Yeah, Nerchio, it's one of those weird things where I feel like a lot of the time you talk about Zergs as, okay, well, don't let them just sit back. You have the Protoss player has to put some pressure on. But eventually in the game, that kind of turns around if the Protoss player is starting to tech up to that big Doomsday, High Templar, Tempest, Archon, Charge Lot, Immortal-like army. If they get up to that massive, scary, scary late game army, the Zerg player's got to do something to mess with them.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you get to that late game point that you were talking about where he gets the fleet beacon and then it's like, okay, we talked about the Spire was late. Like he didn't have the Spire ready before the Hive finished, so going into Broodlords was also just much later than you would normally want. And then I think using the airspace on year 0, being able to bounce between that low ground fourth where he was applying the pressure and the main base to get the Zealots. And also just the wombo combo of that with how many Phoenix he had early on, that the Corruptors also couldn't just push it back, or you couldn't just send a Queen to deny the prison with just a few Hydras. Like the Phoenix would come in, lift up everything, kill everything. And Yeah, it was just
it was good
really
control.
well executed.
It was
Really
very
well
well
executed by GunGFuBanDa.
It was all execution for the most part, yeah.
I hope to see Nerchio maybe commit to something a little bit earlier in this game.
Yeah.
Because he did not. He was only ahead when I was looking at it. By the time he had that layer on the way, it was like 50 drones to 44 probes. So it's not like he had really carved himself out some sort of crazy lead by delaying his tech either.
It's also difficult when you are being the defender, because even when GunGFuBanDa was not able to push in, Nerchio was pushing it back. GunGFuBanDa showed a lot of patience and realizing, okay, like, lost a lot of my zealots. This is the time to back off. I actually don't want to engage here. So GunGFuBanDa was never fully committed with all those kind of pokes forward, but he was doing damage with the Warp Prism in the main base, the Zealot run-bys with the DT, killing off the bottom left-hand base. So every single time Nerchio was defending on multiple fronts, one of the fronts would maybe have a little bit of a crack in the defense, and then GunGFuBanDa would slip in and punish Nerchio, and that happened like 2 or 3 times. And eventually Nerchio just is like, okay, I actually don't have enough anymore.
Yeah. It was just really nice to see the way he did that, right? Because think about it. The Zerglings went and checked the South Watchtower. They were able to clear that out. He had kind of had that Hydralisk hit squad running around, but GunGFuBanDa did a really good job of getting that probe back out there, building the pylon in the southeast corner, getting the pylon in the southwest, which allowed him to get the Zealot Warp in that went into the 3rd base while that DT hit the 4th, and that was all happening while that 5th base in the top center right was under attack by the main army. And his control was really good in the big fight, too. He had the couple of force fields that got rid of all the Banelings. His Zealots all died, but he had them spread out, and he didn't lose the Sentries, he didn't lose the High Templar, he didn't lose the Immortals. And when you don't lose those expensive ground units, you don't need to replace them to deal with the Hydras, then you get out the Tempest, and it's just, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before, but Nerchio is definitely the favorite, undoubtedly the favorite coming into this match just based on past achievements. But GunGFuBanDa being able to take this first game is pretty meaningful, because if he gets to move to the winner's match, well, Nerchio was the guy to beat in this group. And I do think that the rest of the players in this group, we were talking about Petit Drogo, seem to struggle a little bit more lately with some of the results. I think Koss is also one of those players that can do well, but is absolutely someone that GunGFuBanDa could beat. If GunGFuBanDa takes this next map, gets to go to the winner's match, he could very well advance out of this group in 1st place, despite being the 4th seed.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I'm very curious to see what Nerchio does in game number 2, because if he goes out 0-2 and it looks like that first map, then I think this group is just blown completely wide open. Because I'm not going to say that I was like blown away by GunGFuBanDa's play. I'm not going to say that I was blown away by GunGFuBanDa's play.
Yeah.
But I definitely think we have potential here. Maybe that our Red Zerg player is just not feeling that hot today. Very cold gameplay from him in the first map. In the northwest position, he is our Red Zerg. He is Nerchio. I fixed my overlay for you guys. It's still terrible Nathaniel's observing, but it's okay.
It's better.
If you have,
you know, it's actually, you're doing great. You should just observe all the matches.
Thank you. I need more social media engagements, so just yell at me about how bad of an observer I am if you're bored. There you go.
You guys want to complain about the observing? Tweet at Rotterdam08. He will rectify the situation. All right, starting down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Oh, okay.
There you go. I know, you can introduce your player.
Introduce the players. We have down here in the bottom right, it's GunGFuBanDa, our blue Protoss.
We've got Zombie Grub here as well. She'll be joining us for the next series. In control is, he's actually off on some secret mission, I think, crunching numbers in Antarctica, actually.
This is
I think
quite true. Yeah,
he showed me a really big jacket when he came over to watch the football game last week. Said he's going to go rescue a whole team of penguins trapped underneath an iceberg. So shout out to In Control.
Absolutely.
Real American hero.
You know, the cell phone tower interference was messing with the crunching of the numbers, so he had to move out into a more distant location.
Exactly.
By the way, we did have a fake cannon rush from GunGFuBanDa, which did force a decent reaction from Nerchio, pulling, I think, 4 workers it was.
Yeah, which the cost of a canceled pylon is not bad.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want from GunGFuBanDa. I mean, the only thing that could have been more of an overreaction
is if he pulled more drones.
Yeah, but
cancels the hatch, starts a second gas. Like what?
I mean, that's like full M Canning level, right? Where M Canning throws down a cheese spray with a probe, and then the Zerg player cancels their hatchery thinking they were getting cannon rush.
Don't do him dirty like that, bro.
Well, not everyone can be the can.
Oh, the cheese spray is the best. I started to use it as well because it just gets in someone's head.
Yeah.
You know, if they weren't thinking about cheese, when you spray a literal block of cheese in front of them, their brain, whether they consciously realize it or not, is going to start thinking about cheese. Even to the most common player in the world.
I really want to see more players use the sprays for those kind of mind games.
Maybe.
It'd be great.
Once upon a time, StarCraft players in Brood War used to have fun, and then someone had too much fun and they banned talking. So we might get sprays banned next if people have too much fun with them.
Sometimes I wish the players that I faced were like a little bit more attentive so that I could throw down a spray, not necessarily in the direct pathway of scouting across the map, but just like a little bit out of the way. So as they send their worker across the map to scout, they'll see a spray at the top of a ramp.
Oh yeah,
that
you
shouldn't
put
be
it
there. Like,
somewhere.
wait a second, why was your worker over there this
You
early?
want to put it somewhere innocuous, but you also don't want to put it somewhere that they won't see it, right? Like if it's in the middle of the map, they're unlikely to camera follow the scout.
Okay, well,
It's the Stargate again.
Yeah, it's just the Stargate. And the last game, to be entirely honest, GunGFuBanDa didn't have the greatest start with the Phoenix harass. He killed off a few more workers later on with the Adept follow-up. That was pretty good. But overall, that was a game where GunGFuBanDa was able to close it out despite not having the most amazing double Stargate start.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't hate to see it again is I guess where I would go with that.
Yeah, Phoenix into Oracle feels like the scout denial. We've seen that going Oracle first leaves you a little bit more safe against the fast link play. But of course, the Zerg player can much more easily scout you, get the Overlord around. Going for Phoenix first helps with hiding tech to a degree. Yep. Of course, multiple Overlords can make that tricky. And there's also a bunch of different ways that the Zerg can try to get that scouting, whether it's sacking Lings, going for a fast lair with Overseers.
Yep. We do have a faster lair this time, because I know you mentioned last game.
Yeah, it started at 5
minutes.
minutes.
So
and
this game is 4 minutes.
This one will be done. It'll be done by 5 minutes now. So the tech can move along much faster. And we have a Roach Horn with extra gas being taken. Now I'm going to say it, Fear Dragon. I want to see a Noidus. That's what I want. I don't know that I'm going to get what I want, but I just want to make sure everybody knows that that's what I'd like to see. I want to see more Nidus. Having seen it a few times on this patch, I think it is so much more fun. Mostly because you still get some of the madness back. Being able to kill it. Being able to kill it, I think, while it burrows is really important.
No, I'm totally with you on that. I would not hate to see that either.
But I love that it's so hard to kill. It feels like it feels like some sort of weird. I don't know how to describe it. You know, it's like when you're trying to hold the door when there's like a bunch of monsters on the other side coming at you. It's like you're either gonna barely do it or they're gonna spill through and you're gonna die horribly.
Yeah, the small little crack that lets them all through is they're gonna kill you.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we do have some roaches on the way, just sitting around on 42 workers, so has cut workers a little bit early to get out these roaches, which might just be for some adept defense or something, but he goes back into droning, yeah.
Yeah, so opening with roach speed on its own is also can be fine. You do need to be careful. We have that big adept swell, but now there's a couple of roaches here. Should still be able to get some drones.
If I don't have any here.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of them finished right around that time, but this is definitely a much better start, it feels like, so far. He does need to make sure that he reacts properly. He's moving the rest of the roaches back over. There's the queen, so you don't want to lose too many drones here. Keep in mind the Protoss player is ahead on workers with every drone that dies now.
Yep. 6 workers killed. It's still not that bad for the adepts, I would say.
No.
It's not.
No, this is great. The third base is done, right? And he's building 3 probes at a time. So Nerchio, he's got 7 drones on the way. By the time that happens, by the time those pop out, yeah, he's going to be up to 56 probes. So this is still, I think, economically speaking, a very good game for GunGFuBanDa. And the tech, roach speed is done, but he's not going to do anything with roaches, right? We've got +1, charge, immortals are going to be chrono boosted out next. And these are all the tools that you need to deal with the roaches. Roach Hydra is just not something that we see a lot. I think he's still going to need to get a Baneling nest and go back into normal upgrades. I think Roach Hydra is a very dangerous composition to play around with if you're not trying to hit some weird max out timing.
Yeah, I'm really wondering how this game is going to go for Nerchio, because I really do feel like this is he just doesn't really seem to have, like you said, the massive worker count as early on as you oftentimes see. And GunGFuBanDa is getting up all the tech and stuff that you normally want to get up as a Protoss player. He's going to have a decent immortal count. And like you said,
good scout. Unless
there's a really large number of Hydras and Roaches coming out at the right time, this might become a difficult game for Nerchio to kind of keep GunGFuBanDa down.
Yep. Beautiful game of StarCraft being played. Yep, see there's the Ling count starting to increase. I think you got to use Lings here. Big problems, though. No upgrades for Nerchio. He has an Evo chamber.
Look at that gas bank Nerchio has.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's gonna do with that. Guy got to get a Bailey Nest, right? Get a Bailey Nest, get Bane speed. But the Bailey Nest right now would already be so late. Getting Baneling speed would take forever. So is he just committing to Roach Hydra with just like a Ling hit squad? I don't know. Infestation Pit.
Is there an Infestation Pit?
He just started it.
What?
Nerchio, I don't know. I think something must be going on with him today because this is definitely uncharacteristic. It looks like he's not sure what to do. It looks like he has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, there's something weird going on right now with Nerchio and just how he's playing, because it feels like exactly what you said. He's not 100% sure what's going on, or he's just been playing this different style or something. He's not really prepared, or is he expecting some big attack?
It seems like he thought the third might have been a fake, where he's like, I'm going to get Roach speed, start building Roaches. I'm going to be ready for a big adept attack that never really came. Like, it was some adepts, but not a lot.
It's weird, too, because I don't, unless I've missed something major, I don't feel like what GunGFuBanDa has done is even that weird. But hey, this is a nice catch. Finding all of these units, moving across the map in the center, forces a recall, kills off a few of the units. Now with the defensive position, though, GunGFuBanDa can have a few immortals to help defend.
He did immediately burn all the energy on the shield battery from the recall. He's very lucky that not the rest of it got caught, but there's the Prism now hitting on the west side. He's got Zealots that came out in the southwest to pick off the expansion.
He's going to be able to kill off 2 of these bases at once, and the Hydra Dens over there as well, so he can hit off some of the reinforcements that would come out.
Yeah, and he'll get a Nexus in turn, but loses 2 bases for it. And if he doesn't come back and clean all of this up very quickly, of course.
And this isn't a free cleanup either.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's also the threat you got to worry about. Your tech is here too. GunGFuBanDa knows that. He'll be sure. I'm more than certain we'll see another Warp Prism come out at some point. But a really good backstab there. I was talking about how his army looks so good. Getting caught in the middle, obviously not what you want to have happen is Protoss. Your units are going to be a lot less effective getting swarmed like that, and I think the transition out of just Roach Hydra, getting the Baneling Nest with speed was really big. You're still very vulnerable, though. Bane speed, I was saying, it's going to take a long time to research because of how late he built the Baneling Nest, and then there's no upgrades for the Zerglings, which means that those Zealots are going to rip him to pieces, and they're not going to die that fast to him either.
GunGFuBanDa finished up Storm, right?
Yes, he's got a bunch of full energy High Templar as well.
Yeah, this is so tough, because Nerchio's just on 2 bases right now. He's retaking his bases, sure, but this is almost all-in territory for him.
Yeah.
He's also going to be down at upgrades for this all. He's not going to all-in. He's going up to Hive. He's getting up a Spire. But his economy is going to be so stinted for the next minute or two still, as he tries to get those bases back up and get his mining back up. Sure, he's got the drone count, but during all this time, GunGFuBanDa is just going to be building up even more, and GunGFuBanDa is going to have such a strong maxed out attack.
That's what happens when you play mech as Protoss Sphere Dragon. They're all Purifier units. They're all mechanical.
There you go, man. They still do that extra damage versus those biological units, so like those Archons, wrecking through Lings and Hydras with +2 weapons, soon to be +3 weapons. I actually just don't know. Nerchio needs the most amazing engagement ever, which I have to hand it to Nerchio. He does have a reputation for taking amazing fights.
He's got to get... The biggest problem is dealing with those High Templar. There are so many Storms available in this army. He needs the Bane flank. Oh! He's going for it! He gets... It looks like at least one of the High Templar there.
Yeah, I think there's only, what, 1 or 2 Storms left? That's one.
No, you can't see the energy on one of them because it's maxed, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Damaged life bars.
Okay. Roachborn is going to be a little bit vulnerable here, too. If the Immortals get on top of that, he can...
BTW.
All right. Got him. Banda, 2-0 Nerchio. Nice. Starting off this week with an upset. Already.
I like it. This group's blown completely wide open then. I think it's... Now I have no idea who's going to win or lose. Because I still don't think this guarantees GunGFuBanDa a win. I think Nerchio's play looked really weak. GunGFuBanDa looked good, but I mean, Kaz, Drogo, whoever wins that, I think this could end up being a great winners match. Nerchio looking very weak. I'm very concerned for him. I'm very concerned for him in the lower match.
Yeah, super duper uncharacteristic play from Nerchio, but congratulations to GunGFuBanDa. Moving on to that winners match. I'm going to own up to this, Nate. I looked at this group and I said, okay, even though Drogo has maybe been struggling a little bit, I think that Drogo might lose, but for the most part, it's going to be Nerchio first place. And then probably Drogo, maybe there's an upset of Kaz or GunGFuBanDa, but I actually have no idea what's going to happen anymore. This, like you said, this group is blown wide open.
I thought Nerchio was going to be first. Honestly, I really like Kaz for second place in this group. But Ooh.
Who knows what's going to happen now?
I feel like every Terran player is like in the lab right now working on TVP. Koss is a very smart player who kind of brings out different styles.
That is true.
If he's got a good TVP ready for this group, knowing that he had to play Drogo first, take out Drogo, go straight to GunGFuBanDa. I think he's got a much better shot against those guys than I would have thought he would have against Nerchio, if I'm being honest.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that does mean that we get ready to move on to the next match, which is going to be good old Koss versus Petit Drogo, and that's going to be happening pretty soon. You guys take a look. After that, the winner of that match will go on to face off versus GunGFuBanDa. The loser of that match is going to go on to face off versus Nerchio in an elimination match, so don't go anywhere. Protoss versus Terran coming up next.